What's up, everybody? Welcome to Your Fielder's Choice Live Before Lock NFL DFS. My name is John Moffa. I'm here with Mike Miz and Devin Frank. And boys, it's week one, NFL season. We made it. I'm super pumped to be here. I've been looking forward to this day for pretty much, the last 9 months. And I'm ready to jump into it.
Hell yeah.
I told you guys last time in the video, like this is Christmas Day for me. I've been up since 4. I'm already drinking now. I'm excited. Let's go.
And you look like it, Miz. There you go. Have a swing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's how today's gonna work. We're gonna run through the slate. We're gonna talk about some cash plays with Devin, get into some GPP plays, which are our more tournament geared plays with Miz. Run it back with just a summary, hit some prize picks, jump into the Vegas lines, see what we like there, even though none of us are experts by any means, and then wrap it up, and we'll get you out of here. Plenty of time to enter those lineups and take our advice. So let's pass it over to you, Dev. We'll jump into the cash games. Let's see who you like over here at QB.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you missed it, make sure you check out our live before the show YouTube video we posted this week where I break down the cheat sheet, how to utilize it. That's going to be an incredible tool for you if you're a subscriber. If you're not, now's the time to subscribe. We got a great deal going on. First 2 months, $25 each. Cheat sheet's going to be lifesaver, especially for cash games. So using that projected ownership, we can see right on the cheat sheet that, we got the pay-up options are going to be really popular. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. All three have, elite arms, elite rushing upside, decent matchups. Pittsburgh on paper is a tough matchup for Josh Allen, but it's Josh Allen, doesn't matter. They use him for everything. Mahomes, I think Cleveland defense is going to be really good, but again, doesn't matter. It's Mahomes. He's unreal. And then Kyler Murray has a pretty good matchup with Tennessee. So I think those three are going to be your popular plays. I talked about in the top plays that I'm leaning Josh Allen because of the price savings. He comes in at just 7.4 on DraftKings and 8.1 on FanDuel, the cheapest of those three on both sites. Again, as I mentioned, Pittsburgh has a good defense on paper, but JT Watt didn't do team drills until this week, until he finally got paid. So he may have a little bit of rust. And they weren't great down the stretch, losing 4 of their last 5 games, giving up at least 23 points in each of those games. And again, it's Josh Allen. He was incredible last year. He is their red zone. They really don't run the ball in the red zone or really much, period. It's all Josh Allen. So I like what he can do with his arm, with his legs. That's where I'm leaning, but 0 issues with Mahomes, 0 issues with Murray. But I would expect Mahomes or Allen to be your really popular ones. And then if you wanted to pay down, which you really don't need to because there's some value we'll get to at other positions later, but Jalen Hurts fits that same mold. He's got not quite the arm talent, but he can throw, and then he's got a ton of upside with his legs. So that's kind of your value option at just 6.4 on DraftKings. But I think this week one, I think the safe play is to pay up for one of the big boys.
Yeah, and I agree with you there with Josh Allen play. I mean, getting Stephon Diggs last year really kind of unlocked him as being that stud player. Before he had him, there were their criticisms about Josh Allen, but last year he kind of took that step to the next level, especially in fantasy. And then Jalen Hurts,
incredible.
Jalen Hurts is a guy. Last year made some noise. In my personal opinion, I'm a little leery of him just because did teams have a chance to figure him out a little bit better. He's not really coming in mid-season and like surprising people. So, I definitely lean towards Josh Allen there.
Yeah, I actually drafted Jalen Hurts in my seasonal, but I'm the same way as you. I picked up Tannehill, which I usually don't draft 2 quarterbacks. I drafted Tannehill just in case, that same thinking, because Hurts showed elite upside, but can he sustain it? Is it legit? So I think this first week, go with your safe plays. Those
you could do a lot. You could do a lot worse than Ryan Tannehill.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yep. And not only that with Josh Allen, but I mean, Gabriel Davis is their number 4 receiver, and when he sees the field, he's awesome. So I mean, they're sneakily loaded at receiver as well.
Yeah. All right, let's move over into your running back cash plays. Let's touch on some of this and see what you've been eyeing.
Yep. So we've kind of got the same scenario here. We've got a couple pay up options. You got Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, and of course McCaffrey. Again, all 3 of these guys are in play. All are going to see ownership. No issues with any of them. You know, they're all elite players. In McCaffrey and Kamara's cases, they have, you know, elite pass catching upside as well. Dalvin's got, you know, he's going to see a ton of touches. All are fine. Again, I'm leaning Kamara once again because of the price savings. Also, without Michael Thomas last year, he was essentially wide receiver 1 and the running back. So I don't think that's going to be as much of the case this year with the emergence of Callaway. You know, if that's legit. But you know, Kamara's going to get his touches as a receiver as well. And I just like the discount he brings at 8.86 on both sites. You know, that's 500 less than Dalvin on DraftKings. That's, you know, almost $1,000 less than McCaffrey. So that's where I'm leaning. Again, though, we have value at the other positions where you may end up with the cash to move up to a Dalvin or a McCaffrey. And if that's what you want to do, 0 issues, all elite players, decent matchups. Kamara actually has the toughest matchup with Green Bay, but again, you're looking at the pass catching upside and the savings, which is why I lean there. And then if we're looking at value, got a couple site specific plays I like. Antonio Gibson's very cheap on DraftKings at 5.9. He's $7K on FanDuel. When we
That's
see
insanely cheap.
Yes, and when we see that big discrepancy between the sites, that's going to typically lead to some ownership for the site that he feels underpriced on. And then on the flip side, James Robinson is 5.9 on FanDuel, 6.4 on DraftKings. Not quite as big of a gap. I'm all in on the James Robinson FanDuel play today, even if he comes in at low ownership. 5.9 for a guy we talked about at length the other day on the show. That's insane. So I do like him on DraftKings as well, to clarify. 6.4 still a really good price. Yeah. So you got Antonio Gibson, you got James Robinson. Joe Mixon's a nice price on DraftKings at 6.2. Najee Harris at 6.5 on FanDuel. But again, I would rather go James Robinson in that scenario. That's really where I'm sticking at with my player pool for running back. One of the big boys in my lineup, and then one of those value plays. You know, I'm definitely locking in James Robinson on FanDuel, and we'll get to that when we recap. And then, you know, of course, you always want to consider flexing at using a running back in the flex is typically the go-to move for people. It's pretty easy to get. You know, you can use Gibson and Robinson, Gibson and Mixon, and then one of the big boys. There's lots of ways to build today with the value at wide receiver.
Yeah, and you hit on it before. We spoke about James Robinson in our midweek show, and you know, Miz is off camera. I see him nodding his head. We love us some James Robinson. I mean, he was somewhat of a fantasy darling last year. Helped us out in a bunch of spots. You know, they drafted ETN, and then he kind of fell by the wayside. You know, not so much hype on the James Robinson train. But he's back in the fold. So I love that price. I like him as a player. So, yeah, I'm all in on James Robinson here on cash games.
Yeah, and it was the consistency for me. I mean, he was just a lock for
right
20 points a week, but his price never moves.
I was just about to say, and it's at that value, right? It's not like they're bumping him up to, you know, the 8, 9, or even $7,000 range. As long as he stays at that price range and you are getting what you're getting out of him, that's a decent play.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's roll right into wide receivers here and give us some of your cash plays there.
Yep. So we talked at length about Marquez Callaway in our show, pre-show. He's going to be chalky. He looked amazing in the preseason. He appeared to be, you know, kind of James's number 1. Are we 100% sure that ends up being the case? No, but he's going to be chalky, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And he opens up the salary that you need. I would expect him to be, you know, popular on both sites. And then we do have another value that opened up with the Jets being without Jamison Crowder. Now that puts rookie Elijah Moore into the fold at just $3K on DraftKings. That's a nice price. Elijah Moore had a really good camp. Everybody really raved about him. He's a really talented player from college. I was a little surprised he got drafted a little lower than I expected. Has come in, like I said, in camp, looked really good. Minimum price on DraftKings. He's $5K on FanDuel, which is decent, but he's not showing the ownership on FanDuel because you really don't need him. You could run him if you wanted to, really get up to like two. I had it built earlier where I had McCaffrey in there, just as my dummy with Elijah Moore and Callaway. I probably won't land there in cash, but that's just as an example of why you would use Moore, is if you wanted to get up all the way to like a McCaffrey. But Elijah Moore on DraftKings, $3K, very nice price. I don't have an issue with pairing Callaway and Moore because you're looking at two guys that are going to be on the field. They're going to see the value. At only $3K, it doesn't take much for them to pay off those price tags. So I really like both of those values. They're my favorite values by a mile. And then you're going to want to pay up for a receiver because you can do it thanks to the value. So Stephon Diggs, especially paired with Allen, I like that play a lot. And he's the cheapest of the big boys. Calvin Ridley is going to be the man in town. If Philly defense, Miz is going to hit on Calvin Ridley a bit here. Devontae Adams, of course, always elite. Those are going to be your main three that see some ownership. You could do like a Tyreek paired with Mahomes. Nothing wrong with that, especially on FanDuel. That's the big boys I'm really looking at. I think everybody else won't really see much ownership in cash. And then if you wanted some secondary value options, maybe you don't trust Callaway or Moore. Michael Pittman Jr. is looking at a number one role with T.Y. Hilton out. T. Higgins is projected to see some ownership. I'm a little bit leery on Cincinnati, like we talked about on the show earlier the other day, simply because they have so many weapons. I would like to see what this offense looks like before I jump on the receivers, because we just don't know, because there's so many options in that receiving game now. And then Rondale Moore for Arizona, big fan of him in college. He's only $3K. I would rather take Elijah Moore because he's going to be looking at a bigger role. But Rondale Moore is also min price, maybe a pivot in GPP.
Yeah, and if you're watching this too, like, I'm not even a big Callaway fan. I recognize the potential, but as we spoke about last week, it's he's on a Monday night game, preseason, blew up a little bit. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about this guy, and I think he's talented for sure, but he's by no means a lock in any type of format. However, in cash games, you kind of want to hedge against yourself and the field. So if everybody's playing him at 3-4, even if you're not obsessed with the guy, it's that protection in case he does blow up and go off for 20 points or so and gets a touchdown, right? So that's what you're trying to play defense against. A lot of times when you're playing these cash games, it doesn't matter if you're in a pool of 100 people, if you're first or if you're 50th, you're getting paid out the same way. It doesn't matter if you're blowing people out or not. You just want to top in that top 50%, right? Or place in that top 50%. And these guys, they'll help you get there, because that's where the ownership's pointing. And that's, just don't get cute. Just play those guys and move on.
Yep. Eat the super chalky guys. I always tell our customers, you're really, especially in cash games, you're really winning with about 2 to 3 plays, because there's going to be a bunch of chalk plays. You eat that chalk and then you win with those 2, 3, 4 plays. Callaway's one of those guys that's going to be chalky, so just eat that chalk. He opens up the salary. He duds, then you're in the same boat as everybody else. He goes off, you don't have him, you're in trouble.
And be also remiss for all the Jet fans out there. We have a chalk play who is a Jets player, which doesn't happen all that much. So, have at it.
That's right.
All right, let's move over into tight end and see what those plays look like.
All right, so tight ends, a 2-horse race. On DraftKings, Kyle Pitts, he's 4-4. I mean, are you kidding me? This dude's arguably the most talented tight end to ever come into the league on paper. So 4'4", he's 6'6", he's essentially Calvin Johnson playing tight end. So 4'4" is too cheap for this guy's upside. I would expect him to be very, very popular on DraftKings. FanDuel at 6K, that's a little bit more appropriate of a price. I still like it. I still have him in my cash currently on FanDuel as well. Expect Kyle Pitts to be very popular for good reason. Again, Miz is going to hit on some Atlanta players, so I'll let him talk a little more Pitts. Your other option really is Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is essentially wide receiver one. He finished the season last year, I believe, with the second most receiving yards overall, over receivers included. So it's a hefty price tag, but you're essentially paying for wide receiver one. I do want to mention that this is something that I started paying attention to last year. Running a tight end in the flex isn't a terrible idea when it's somebody like a Travis Kelce or even a Kyle Pitts. Not necessarily in cash, but especially GPP. I wouldn't mind running both the guys. So like I said, only for guys like that, like a Travis Kelce, who's literally wide receiver one. So those are really the two tight ends I'm looking at. I guess if you wanted to look elsewhere, George Kittle, we all know how good he is. He gets a really good matchup with Detroit. Logan Thomas, Hawkinson, they make sense. But again, especially on DraftKings, Pitts is the cheapest of all five of those guys I just named. That's just a no-brainer to me. If you wanted to punt the position, Adam Troutman is good to go. Saints were really excited about him last year. He didn't do a ton, but he's a guy they talked up now for 2 years straight. He moves into that number one role with Cook on. So Adam Troutman as a pure punt would be the option there. But again, I think you're taking a big risk if you fade Kyle Pitts here.
And we touched on offline Tyler Conklin. So I know he's not on your board here. Did you stray away from him because he was getting a little bit of love? I saw just across the industry in general.
Yeah, I mean he's still kind of popping as a punt option, but I mean again, really Pitts and Kelce are kind of running away with ownership on both sites. And then and like we talked about in the earlier week show, if I am punting, I'm just going to take somebody like a Troutman. I'm not punting. I'm playing Pitts or Kelce, but if I were to, I would be looking at Adam Troutman.
Yeah, I agree. And if you're looking at Travis Kelce as a wide receiver one, like you mentioned, I mean, you're actually getting him at a discount compared to guys like Devontae Adams, who goes for $9K plus, and those sorts of guys. So
yeah, absolutely. And
right.
And Kelce's, I mean, he's amazing. So, and
before
we swing over to Miz, for those that read the top plays, I do not write up defenses. I just want to touch on that quick. It's because when I'm building, defense is the last thing I touch. If you are forcing in a defense and building around that, you're making a mistake, because very rarely is a defense going to make or break your lineup. So I would build everything else, see where you land on defense. You still want to try and play good defense. You don't just want to, punt with a crap defense that's going to get negative points. But don't jam in a top price defense and build around that, because they're just not going to score the points. And it's just not, the safest way to build. So for this week right now, Atlanta's looking like the chalky, just flat out punt on DraftKings at 2K. And then on FanDuel, Denver's looking like the ownership plan FanDuel at 4-1. But again, I'm not jamming in Denver at 4-1 when I can drop, that's 1,000 more than the cheapest team. I'm going to leave that spot to last. So I just want to touch on that really quick.
Yeah, no, I agree there. Defense, for all intents and purposes, is somewhat of a crapshoot. Even the best defenses have, tough matchups certain weeks and don't really price level. So I agree with you totally on that front. All right, well, thanks, Dev. Let's move over to the one and only Miz here and talk about some GPP plays. I know he's got some stacks that he likes. We'll bounce over to you. What's up, Miz? Been up since 4:30 this morning grinding, huh?
Grind doesn't stop, man. We got to get it going here and make sure we're on point today for the week one. Christmas for all the degenerates. And we got to make it happen today, man. And I like these stacks.
Hell yeah. All right. So talk to me here. We got on the screen the Falcon stack. No Julio Jones, kind of, new look for this team with Pitts coming in. You got Matt Ryan, the old faithful there. What do you like?
Yeah, so you gotta be able to stomach Matt Ryan, right? Matt Ryan came in around the same time, I think the same draft class as Flacco, and we know where Flacco is now. Not doing much. Actually, he's on the other side of the bench here today, but the talent is here. The targets are going to be funneled to these two guys, Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is basically a receiver. He's going to line up all over the field, whether he lines up in line, whether he lines up in the slot, whether he lines up on the outside. So the fact that he's a tight end is probably, putting some bad stigma on, actually playing him today. Whereas he's basically a receiver. Plus you get Calvin Ridley. We saw last year when Julio was out, the leaps that he was able to take. Pair those up against the horrible Eagles secondary. I don't know if you guys were able to watch the Eagles secondary over the preseason, but even then people were running wide open. I mean, I'm talking about their first team. I'm talking about their backups. Their first team guys were wide open, and they're going to be bad just like they were last year. So in a total that's pretty healthy, I really like this game. And then it's not just about throwing three guys out there, because if those three guys are going to do anything, somebody on the other side of the ball is going to have to do something for them to keep pace. So I know I put another rookie in here. That's probably pretty hard to stomach for some people, but Devonta Smith is the most pro-ready receiver that's come out in the last, let's say 10 years. And he's gotten really nobody else to compete with targets. I mean, you got Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, right? But Rager, he's been up and down, like you wouldn't believe. Everybody picks on him because they picked him before they picked Jefferson last year. He can never seem to get it together. Whereas Devonta Smith, you saw over the preseason, just a limited snaps that he got, he was making dudes almost fall over. His route running is crisp. We all know how bad the Atlanta defense is. It has been over the last few years. The fact that Dean Pease is the defensive coordinator now in Atlanta, former Ravens defensive coordinator, loves to attack, loves to blitz. So he's going to be trying to get after Jalen Hurts. So look for a lot of those bubble screens and things like that you saw, and wide receiver screens towards the middle of the field, slants to get Devonta open quickly to use his run after the catch ability. And let's just say that he can take it to the house from anywhere on the field. So that's the kind of upside you want to see, along with his floor that he's going to provide here this season. I think this is just a perfect stack today that with the combination of all these guys will be unique, more unique than just playing them together or playing them as one-offs.
Yeah, and when you're playing these GPPs, you almost got to target a stack if you're going to take down any type of field and distance yourself from the pack. And you want to focus on those high octane offenses, right, that are going to put up a lot of points, or going up against wishy-washy secondary like the Eagles. I have a question for you. Any love for Miles Sanders this week at all?
Yeah, I do a little bit. So, everybody likes to talk about how, Atlanta has given catches up to the running backs over the last few years, but Dean Pease is there now. So it's a little bit different. Whereas that's still going to happen because the lack of receivers that the Eagles have. But in terms of just where the prices fall with the other running backs on the slate, I just like some other guys a little bit more, but I do have him in my player pool.
Cool. Yeah, same. All right, let's move on to this next game here that you're targeting. We got Panthers Jets. Let's hear it.
Oh man. So Sam Darnold with his big head, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Corey Davis, my arch nemesis, and Elijah Moore. So this game has all the right pieces to a shootout, right? Everybody's just so bad on defense, and it's just a sloppy mess that things can just go run wild. Sam Darnold has got his revenge game. And it happens to be the first game since he's left the Jets. Even better. But even without that, you got DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. These guys are going to soak up not all the targets, but the majority of the targets on this team. The Jets defense in terms of the back end, not very good. Christian McCaffrey, we know that he's not just a running back, he's a receiver also. So I like Sam and these guys to put up a pretty healthy score here today. And both of these teams are going to try to make a statement, right? We got a new coach in Saleh, your boy Saleh over there in the Jets. And then we have Matt Rule. He was brought in to be, to really take this program to the next level after a disappointing first season, and McCaffrey was hurt and all that. So there's no excuses right now for them to just not come out of the gates firing. And on the other side, they got Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, both target hogs, right? So Elijah Moore touted to be one of the better route runners, right? Even AJ Brown has said so. That's his bet to win Rookie of the Year, that's a little bit bold statement, but needless to say, that's a good backing for a young receiver such as Elijah Moore. And then Corey Davis, we saw in the preseason. I hate this dude really, but I think he's not very good in general, but he has gotten better, that's for sure. But he soaked up all the targets over the preseason, right? So it's really Zach Wilson's favorite target, and Jamison Crowder's out. So, I mean, who else do they have left to throw to? Tyler Croft? Yes, that's a possibility. I would sprinkle him in to some as well. But other than that, they got nobody. So it's going to be these two cats against those guys of the Panthers. And I think this is just a perfect storm for shootout potential. Now, it is a lot more risky because these quarterbacks are definitely unknown on both sides of the ball in terms of, being capable throughout the entirety of a game. But it's a risk you have to take if you want to get first place.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you mentioned, revenge narrative for Sam Darnold, which that's obviously the first thing that comes to everybody's mind. But let's not forget Robbie Anderson was a Jet once upon a time too.
Yep.
So maybe we see him blow up. A lot of people like to lean towards DJ Moore because he's also a stud. But Robbie Anderson is totally serviceable and playable in this situation for sure.
Along with Terrence Marshall too, who I think personally is like a clone of Robbie Anderson, but he'll be running some slot duties as well. So those guys are definitely viable, and you should definitely sprinkle them in, especially if you're running multiple lineups. But again, even to that point, it just makes this game pretty tasty.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. All right, so let's move into just the recap here of what we touched on. We'll bring Dev back, go over some of these top plays. So, Dev, if I heard you correct, on the cash side, we liked Josh Allen as our quarterback, Alvin Kamara, running back, Diggs, wide receiver, Pitts, tight end, and then some punt plays in Callaway and Elijah Moore.
Yep, I'm definitely. I mean, we do have some flexibility tonight, so I don't. So today,
hang on one second. Hang on one second. We got Trey Sermon's out today, so that's a full workload for Mostert today.
Ooh, there you go. That moves Mostert.
I was gonna bring up Raheem. I was gonna bring him up here, and not just because that's a homer pick for me, but going up against that Detroit Lions team, which is not good. And he's always possibility to break one loose there
Mostert
and
is a
blow up. And
stud.
now you're telling me Trey Sermon's out. It's like,
Yeah.
it's the Raheem Mostert show. I mean, the Niners are tricky because they have so many schemes. You could get their fourth string running back scoring a touchdown and blowing up for 60 yards the way Shanahan coaches and runs that offense. But Raheem is the guy. You know, they drafted Sermon, but Raheem is a good running back. You know, that's definitely going to change some of my player pools for sure.
Looking at price too. So Mostert comes in at 5.8 on DraftKings, which is 100 less than Gibson. Comes in at 6.1 on FanDuel, which is, you know, less than essentially everybody but James Robinson. So
Jam him in.
I swing Mostert right to the top of the list, right with James Robinson. I think the matchup is much better for Mostert than Gibson, and he's cheaper. So, you know, I think Mostert moves in as your really probably your strongest DraftKings value for sure. I still like that James Robinson price,
Love it.
200 less than Mostert on FanDuel though.
Would you
Why
go
is he
James
inactive?
Robinson and Mostert and then just
Yeah,
load up
you
somewhere else?
Absolutely play both with that flex. You know, you're gonna want one of the big boys because they're gonna be high owned, but you could, you know, take one of them in flex, get a big boy, and then the two values. You could absolutely do that.
Let me throw a name at you here, because I did see him getting some love, and I don't know if I would go this route, but Mac Jones, he's pretty cheap. I just don't think the Patriots are going to score enough points for him to be worth it and make you competitive. But just throwing that out there, if you heard any rumblings of Mac Jones getting some cash love.
I would say no, especially not with the value that's been opening up, and now we just added another really strong value play to the board, so you're going to see guys pay up. But I probably am not crazy about him even in GPP, just because I think they're probably going to do. My guess is when they get in the red zone, they're going to run the ball.
Yeah, no, and like I said, it's not like I see them.
Yeah.
Dropping a ton of points where it makes it worth it. No need to get cute there, but I did see him come up in a couple of places, so I was just wondering what our feelings were on that.
Yeah. So.
All right, and then Miz.
Nope. Go ahead.
I was just gonna move over to Miz. Do you have anything else about the cash plays? Anybody that we didn't touch on yet that maybe caught your eye before I move over there?
So Marshawn Lattimore is a little hurt for the Saints, and if he does end up sitting, I don't think we have word yet. I mean, you got to play Devontae Adams at that point. I mean,
Yeah, if Lattimore's
You
out,
play Devontae Adams at any point, but if that's the case, then you
Right,
should
yeah.
100% play. Yeah.
yeah.
Miz, are you leaning? What are you leaning your quarterback? Are you also leaning Allen? What are you thinking?
It's between Allen or Hurts, I think.
Allen Hurts.
Yeah.
I would say, like I said, I don't want to overly push today because there's like groupings of core plays today where you're going to want to pick one of them. So anybody watching, you know, if you want to play Mahomes, that's fine. You can make it fit comfortably. I'm playing Allen because of the savings. I would say your true locks though, especially on DraftKings, is Pitts, Callaway. You're gonna need that value from both, and then take a hard look at some of the other, more like we talked about. Mostert, I think is going to probably become pretty chalky as well here.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're playing Mostert.
And any advice, and just in terms of advice, it's week 1, right? A lot of numbers and values are driven off of last year. You don't know what you're getting with some guys like a James Robinson, who had a ton of coaching changes within that organization. We do like him, but at the same time, he could come out and lay an egg. Hopefully not. And also, the Texans are garbage, but we'll see what happens there. So you also don't want to blow your in terms of playing a ton of games and running through your bank account. Play a little bit more on the responsible side for this week.
Absolutely.
All right, Miz, on the GPP side, we mainly focused on stacks. We hit the Falcons and the Panthers, Jets. Is there anybody else that you kind of like as just like a one-off play that isn't involved in the stack that maybe you're eyeing in your GPP plays?
Well, I was really liking Mostert because I didn't think he was going to be popular, but that's unfortunate. Marvin Jones, I mean, I think people are on him, but just going up against Houston, I mean, they have nobody. They traded their best corner to the Saints, and he's not, and Bradley Roby, and he's not even active. So for the Saints, so I think you can load up on that, and you could have probably even played Trevor Lawrence if you wanted to, but I don't know if the upside is going to be there that much for them. Paris Campbell last year, when he was healthy, was a target hog. Even with T.Y. Hilton there, T.Y.'s hurt, so it's him and Pittman out there. A lot of money on the Colts today, coming in on the betting side. So if they're gonna be putting up points, I definitely like Paris Campbell. Is super cheap on both sites.
The burner. Paris Campbell's awesome.
Yeah, he's
He's a
definitely
Buckeye, so I know.
very underrated. Very
Yeah.
underrated.
And really, Zach Pascal too. I mean, if you wanted to get, play some Colts, he's potentially. I think he led the team in receiving last year behind Hilton. So
I like Michael Pittman too.
Yeah.
Less of a shocking pick there, but I do like him.
he's slated to be their number one with Hilton now.
Yeah.
And then
All right. Well, that pretty.
Well, one sec. So,
okay.
I think we might see a little bit more of Debo Samuel in the backfield type screens and all that, trying to get the ball in his hands a little bit more today, maybe more so than they were planning on with Sermon out, just to take a little bit of the load off of Mostert. As we know, Debo is basically a running back playing receiver.
I mean, I'm just excited to see that offense in general because A, I'm a fan, so that's kind of take that with a grain of salt. But like B, like what kind of offense are they going to run with potentially two QBs?
Yeah.
It could be a thing, at least in the beginning, until one of them kind of pulls away from the other, and it's clear that there should be one starter versus another. But it should be fun. Shanahan's a psycho with that type of stuff, so who knows?
Right, he's smart. So you got to, guilty, or you got to trust him unless he's making something really looks really stupid.
Oh,
yeah. I also just got a notification.
You go ahead.
I was gonna say people are just wondering. I just got a notification that Austin Eckler is officially listed as healthy. I don't know if that makes me want to play him or not.
Healthy,
but just,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because hamstrings are totally easy injury to overcome. So he should be totally fine.
Yeah, he could get out there, do one run, and be done. That would be very, very maybe GPP, but I just wanted to mention really quick GPP. I say this all the time. We're all fans of a team. Take a buck, do a stack of your team. I can't tell you how many times somebody's like, "Man, my team went nuts today. I didn't play any of them." Take $1, do a stack of your favorite team, have some fun.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. How many opportunities over the years have you had a chance to play a stack of Cleveland Browns?
Well, last
year I get it, but in the
20
previous years, you haven't had much opportunity.
Till last year, then I could play them. But I will be stacking the Browns today in a GPP.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, let's move into our prize pick section. For those of you who don't know, prize picks is a pretty unique system where you can essentially bet on fantasy props. They're running a promotion basically just to get people in the door today. You can bet Patrick Mahomes over half a yard. Yeah, that's right. You heard me right. Half a yard, which is essentially free money. I'm not really sure what the limits are on that. Definitely not something that you can just go all in on, but I'm sure. But they are trying to get people in with that promotion, which is pretty cool. We also have a promotion of our own if you sign up with the code YFC. It's not widely available across all states, so make sure it's available in the state you're playing in. But yeah, what do you guys like today on the prize pick side?
Well, just to start off, Mostert. Mostert is a 73.5, so over on that.
73.5 yards.
Yeah.
And they actually that's actually up. So make sure you grab that quick. Let me see.
Yeah, I should have made mention of that too. The lines, like Vegas, they do move.
Yeah.
So if you are playing Prize Picks, it's always in your best interest to get in there early if you're in love with a pick.
Yep, that's up 5 yards in the last 10 minutes because I hadn't refreshed and that was at 68.5. So that line has moved. So
Wow,
yeah,
people
jump
loading
on
up
that.
on them.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody jumped in as soon as that news broke. So yeah, definitely. And I kind of like, I mean, I'm probably a little overly all in, but I like James Robinson over 70.5 rushing yards. We've talked about it. We're pretty big James Robinson fans. This is a dream matchup. As long as he gets the volume he saw last year, that shouldn't be an issue.
I like shoot, where is it? Where did it go? Where,
Easy.
Callaway's at 3.5.
I like that as well.
And then one other one I had for yardage. Well, where do we go? No. Oh yeah, Devonta Smith, 45.5, easy over.
Yep, agreed with that. Sorry guys, this is a big board. There's a lot to look at, so we're trying to. What do you think? Mostert 0.5 rushing touchdowns is his line.
0.5.
Yeah.
Well, slam them all. All Mostert.
Well, you can only pick one, so you can't run like 4 different Mosterts.
Okay.
So that's probably the safest one, over half a rushing touchdown.
Yep.
You have James
I like
Robinson,
that one.
same thing there. I'm fine with James Robinson over half a rushing touchdown as well.
And then I do like Damian Harris as well. I know
Really
we got Ramondre there too now, and everybody loves Ramondre Stevenson, but they got rid of Sonny Michel. It's Damian Harris. It's his show.
Honestly, this whole running back touchdown board is all I like them all pretty much. Like I think Nick Chubb's going to get
Which is a bad sign when you love the board. That's a bad sign.
Right.
Not you specifically, just in general. That's bad juju.
Yeah.
Right.
That's probably all else on the Prize Pick side before we move to Vegas.
That's probably all. Yeah, that's probably all that I have.
Yeah, if you're playing Prize Picks, take time. There's a lot of options to look at. Don't play anything that you're iffy on because these boards are huge. So look around.
Yeah.
Pick stuff you're really confident in. Take advantage of the size.
Let's move over to the Vegas lines and see what the team likes here. So in this, we have a stream that we've been doing on Wednesday nights. Usually gets released over the weekend or on early Friday, where we all pick some of our favorite Vegas lines. They've probably moved since we picked them on Wednesday, but we're going to recap them here, and we're going to pretty much track these throughout the course of the season and see how terrible we are when it's all said and done. But I'll go first. No particular order for the team, but for me, I'm going to list them in terms of what I like the best and the least. So my number one pick, which I like the best, was the Ravens. I just think that this team is pretty good, even with their injuries. I think they should easily cover their line. I think that, there are some question marks, but I think this is a Lamar game. I know Miz loves that call, being a Ravens fan, but I like the Ravens there. Secondly, I like the Panthers. I had them at -4.5, but I think that line may have moved.
3.5.
It's 3.5 now. Great, love it even more. And the Jets should probably embarrass me like they always do every time I go up against them. So we'll see what happens there. And then my least favorite pick, but I'm gonna do it. The Giants at home getting points, +3.5, I believe.
Right. +3.
That line may have moved as well. +3.
Yeah.
Everything tells me not to pick the Giants, and that's why I'm picking the Giants, right? Like Denver's defense is nasty. Saquon is maybe on a pitch count. Maybe, we don't know what we're getting out of him. I don't like Daniel Jones for any particular reason. But you know what? The Giants need to win games or at least cover the spread, in my opinion. I think they're going to win this game outright, but I'm not going to go that crazy and take the money line. I like the Giants here with the points for sure at home.
Nah. Yuck. Those Giants, gross. They're so bad. Especially, well,
I love it. It was my least
I'll
favorite. I told you that.
I'll make one note, at least in reference to that. Every time Ian Rappaport says that somebody's going to be limited in terms of like a running back, in which he came out early this morning and said that about Saquon, that player goes off for like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So just putting that out into the universe in case anybody's listening.
That does happen a lot.
All right, so mine, obviously, I have the Ravens. I don't care what the line is, really, to be honest with you. But I think they're going to smash them. I don't care that we lost Gus Edwards. I don't care if we lost J.K. Dobbins. I don't care that we lost Marcus Peters. Our team is just way better. We control the clock. It's next man up. Doesn't matter who's out there. And we're going to steamroll the Las Vegas Raiders. John Gruden is still, as I said before, stuck in 2000. And then I was talking with some people over the week, but it seemingly might be a square pick, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to absolutely throw the hammer down on the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans may not win a game this season. I honestly believe that. I've never thought that in my lifetime about any other team other than this team. They are so bad. Now that they're probably going to win because I just said it that way, but
100%.
I'm going to bet 100%. But I'm still going to bet them the Jaguars to steamroll the Houston Texans. The line was at 3. If it's at 4, I still like it. And then the last one would be the Green Bay Packers. As I mentioned earlier in the stream, Marshawn Lattimore may not be at full strength today if he doesn't get knocked out here before we kick off. Aaron Rodgers was revenge tour, man. I mean, he's out for blood. He wants to take down everybody and their mother, and he's going to start today with Sean Payton and the Drew Brees-less Saints. They're going to be coming to play, man. So at 3.5.
Yeah, you'll never have to convince me to bet Aaron Rodgers in any game, especially if it's on a Sunday night. Not that this game is, but prime time Aaron Rodgers, give me it.
Yep.
All right, Deb. What about you? What's up with your picks here?
All right, I had a couple of lines move on me. I had Washington. They were +1 the other day. They have now moved their favorites at -2.5. So apparently that was a popular bet, but I still like Washington. Cleveland line moved as well. They're down to +5.5. That's a homer pick, I'll admit, but I just, they were one play away from beating the Chiefs last year, and the Browns are drastically better this year. My only worry is it is on the road, and they didn't play a ton in the preseason, but I still like the Browns here. Again, a bit of a homer pick, I'll admit that. And then I just love this Carolina line for all the reasons we've all talked about. We're all on Carolina today, -3.5. So I'm with you on the Panthers.
It's hard to not like them, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see. I know that line has started to move towards the Jets, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, I already said it. The internet heard it, so I guess it's locked in. Can't go back now. Also, I see in the chat they're saying the Giants are getting no points. I haven't checked within the last hour or so, but I didn't see that. Is that true? Is it just an even spread right now?
I can't see.
FanDuel Sportsbook has the Giants +3.
Okay, cool. Well, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
What was it for? 3.5?
All right, guys. Well, Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure because I did see that. I read that in the chat. I wasn't sure where that was going. All right, guys. Well, if that is it, I'm gonna let everybody get out of here, enter in those lineups. We finished right pretty much on the dot at noon. Got a full hour to get everything in. Last minute cramming, last minute betting, last minute prize picks, everything. As we did mention, we are doing a show midweek called The Show Before the Show. This is the show where we basically talk all things midweek football, breaking news. We go over the cheat sheet with Dev, kind of like more of what are we thinking on the week ahead, and get you guys geared up for the Sunday lock show. Miz, Dev, anything before we sign off here?
Cheat sheet will be updated probably twice this hour. So feel free to set your lineups now and then check back a couple minutes before lock and just make sure nothing went crazy, that you're not missing out on any Uber chalk. But as we mentioned, this week's really more kind of like groups of chalk. So kind of picking one, your favorite out of the groups, you should be okay this week.
That's it, man. I'm happy it's here. I'm gonna go get everything set up on my TVs so I can watch every game and kick back and relax and enjoy it.
That's right. It's football time, baby.
All right, guys. Well, good luck out there. Yeah, it's football time. First Sunday until February where we got NFL. So every week. So I'm excited. I'm going to get out of here, finish some of these lineups, maybe have a beer, get ready for kickoff. All right, guys. Good luck. I will talk to you guys midweek, and we will see you soon. Take care. Thank you.